In this episode of the Project Management Podcast, we want you to say yes to project success. Hello and welcome to the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com. I am Cornelius Fichtner. We are coming to you live from the hectic and fantastic 2018 PMI Global Conference in Los Angeles. And with me right now here in the hallways are two guests. I have Kartik Ramamurthy and Priya Narayanasamy with me here today. And since you all know that I only have one microphone for one guest, we're splitting them up. Kartik sits here first with the headset on. Good morning, Kartik.
Good morning, Cornelius, and I like the freedom of us not talking over each other.
All right. How is the conference going for you so far? Because in the opening, I said we are at the hectic and fantastic global conference. You chose hectic. Why?
Absolutely. So many great sessions, so many great speakers. First of all, it's been difficult to choose among sessions. Also, for Priya and me, we had two topics selected, one a workshop on decision making and another on 8 practical risk management success secrets. And PMI selected us to do encores for both. So 4 presentations in 3 days, plus attending all those great sessions. Hectic is the word.
No wonder you're saying it is hectic. Yes. The one thing we want to talk about, however, this morning is not any of your presentations, but your book. The two of you wrote a book together called Say Yes to Project Success, Winning the Project Management Game. It includes proven insights from 108 experts that led 2,000 projects in 119 countries. And let's see, it is about 160 pages thick. So you have 108 experts in 160. How did you pull this off to start with? How did you get 108 experts to contribute to your book?
It was tough. It was made even more complex because we had to do it in a short period of 4 months. And I should congratulate Priya as a back office PMO in addition to the PMO. In fact, there are several people right here at this conference who are expert insights contributors who run away when they see Priya because she chased them so much to get the expert insights on time, coordinating with them. I'm joking, of course. They were all happy to be contributors to a global book.
Right. And the book is slightly different because you use storytelling in the book.
Yes, and we used 52 stories, Cornelius, because I greatly admired Goldratt's Critical Chain. I learned a lot from that book. It was a novel, and that approach helped. But I realized in today's generation, people don't have the time to read a full novel. So we actually wrote 52 short stories, each which starts with a situation a project manager is having, how it is affecting his or her project negatively. There's a turning point or an epiphany moment where they find the solution, maybe through a piece of music, watching a movie or a conference session, and they implement it. And we said, let it not just be about the 50 years of experience Priya and I have. Let's include global experts, which is where at the end of every chapter, there are 2 global experts who talk about how they would have solved that particular problem. So the 52 stories are set against the 20 biggest project management failure factors in the world. And at the end of the book, there is an annexure that talks about the 20 failure factors. And we've linked those to the chapters that provide solutions. So if you're reading the book, you're looking at what your biggest pain points are and solutions to those pain points from a variety of experts. So we wrote it as a solutions book because there are a lot of great books on the theory of project management. But I've not seen too many on how to fix those problems in a very practical manner, and which is why we wrote that book.
Good. We want to jump into 4 of these chapters. You have selected 2, Priya has selected 2, and talk about those a little bit more in detail. But before we do that, I have learned today that every one of your presentations starts with a gimmick. You catch the attention of your listeners, right?
Yes.
And what we are going to do is, since we are talking about a book, we are going to give away 2 copies of this book in 3 copies.
Yes.
We're going to give away 3 copies of this book in electronic format. So it's going to be the Kindle version of the book, Say Yes to project success. And what we are going to do is we are going to be putting up a question on our Facebook page. And the question is this: who is Fern Suit Chronicle? Fern Suit Chronicle.
That is an anagram.
Yes.
That's an anagram which means, like the word arts, can be rearranged to form rats or star or even TSAR. You want to rearrange these letters to get the name of a very famous podcast host.
All right. With that out of the way, and just as a reminder, this is 2018, so if you're listening to this in 2019, obviously, the giveaway will already be over. So let's jump straight into the book. We are going to chapter number 47, Great Catches. That's what the title is. What is the chapter all about?
So Cornelius, being an Indian, I'm mad about cricket, and in cricket catches we say win matches. But this chapter has nothing to do with cricket. Oftentimes in projects we focus on the negatives. We look at mistakes people make. And I was once at a workshop where the presenter said, let's play a game. And he said, I'll give you 1 minute to look all around the room and make a mental note of everything that is red. It could be a pen, it could be a dress somebody is wearing, it could be a painting on the wall. And he said, at the end of the minute, I'll ask you to close your eyes, and the person who mentions the most number of objects will win a prize. He said, time starts now. We weren't allowed to write down. We looked all around, made a mental note of everything that was red. He said, time's up, close your eyes. And the presenter said, give me a list of everything that was green. And people say, what? You gave us wrong instructions. And then he said, you know what? This is what we do in projects. We keep looking for the reds and the mistakes people do, and we pull them up for it. This creates an environment where team members feel anything good that I do goes unnoticed. And you have room's expectancy theory that says if you're not appreciated for the good things you do, you tend not to do the good things. Why bother if I'm not going to be recognized for those things? So we wrote this chapter saying that habits change hard. So if you've been used to finding mistakes, make a mental note that this day I will find 5 good things, small things, big things that a team member has done, and appreciate them for it. Next week, increase it to 10. Now you've developed a habit of being actively on the lookout for good things people do. And this has a magical effect. I'm not exaggerating. The more people feel appreciated, they start contributing more, and it has a terrific impact on the productivity of your project. It eases stress, and I've seen it personally happen with a lot of clients where we coach project managers to do this, which is why we called Great Catches, catching people doing things right and appreciating them for it, and it changes the atmosphere of projects. I've seen it happen.
But you're not saying that you should only look at the great catches, right? You should also look at the balls that get dropped.
Absolutely.
And point them out and say, look, you're normally doing good work, but that ball is on the floor.
Absolutely. The important thing there is that the famous management mantra, praise in public, provide feedback in private. It's a chapter actually, interestingly, Priya will cover the art of giving constructive feedback so that it can't be all rah-rah team, we are making no mistakes, we are invincible and all that. Mistakes do happen. Mistakes need to be corrected. People need to be told. And Priya will talk about a chapter that talks about how you can make that process of feedback effective.
All right. So that was chapter number 47, Great Catches. We're moving on now, going backward actually. We're going to chapter 40, Last Mile Connectivity. What is that all about? And what tips do you have for our listeners here?
So last mile connectivity is a big buzzword in networking, right? Are you able to get networks into the hands of the customers, into their homes? But once again, like with Great Catches, had nothing to do with cricket. Last mile connectivity has nothing to do with networks. This has to do with risk management. We've coached a lot of teams on effective risk management, practical ways. One of those sessions at our conference was how risk management is often cookie cutter. Many people do it just the paperwork to get a tick mark on a project audit, and then risk management doesn't give you the benefits you deserve on your project. We've had teams do a lot of great work. There's one project manager in a large construction company in India who called me in panic mode. I had been mentoring him, and he said, Karthik, there's been a fatality on a project site. Somebody fell through the safety nettings and died. terrible thing to lose a life, and there's nothing, insurance, nothing that can do to reverse that. And he said management is extremely upset. They said you spent so much time on risk management and you couldn't prevent this. We went through what they had done. The sad part, they had identified a risk in a previous project where the vendor had supplied safety nets that were not of good quality. Somebody had fallen, luckily didn't get injured, but he'd fallen through a couple of nets and got caught by the last one. And this shouldn't have happened. And in their risk response plan, they had actually mentioned, don't use this vendor again on this project. Blacklist him. Somehow that message had not gone through to procurement, and they employed the same vendor again. The project manager was upset because he said, I did all this, and unfortunately, the effect has been bad. In our native language of Tamil, it's the oldest living language in the world. We talk about mukka kanaru. It is about you're trying to leap across a well. You leap 90% across it. The result is you still fall into the well. You didn't clear it. So this was that case where he had leapt across. He had done everything right. The mistake he had made was that last step of informing procurement. So we coach our teams, we coach our project managers. Don't stop with risk response planning. Come up with action items on how you'll implement that. A message has to go to procurement. Or if you're doing the procurement yourself, this should be the first vendor to be blacklisted. And so you get the full effect of your risk management efforts. So that's why we said connecting down to the last mile. On your schedule, you'll find tasks which are linked to those risks. Once you have come up with a risk response plan, find the tasks on your schedule, because that's what people are going to be working on day in, day out, right? Find those tasks. There could be one risk that applies to multiple tasks. There could be one task that has multiple risk responses. Make sure you assign it to people. Follow up. Make sure that people are actually getting that done. And then you'll get the full effect of risk management.
All right. That was chapter number 40, Last Mile Connectivity. Now, before we move on and bring Priya onto the program, question, how do you recommend that our listeners use the book? Is it a book that you read from start to finish, because it is a story, after all, that weaves throughout? Or should you just pick it up and go, I need help with topic X. Where is topic X?
Great question, Cornelius. To have some kind of structure to the book, we've started the book with a chapter on how to understand the big picture. We call it be the CEO of your project, and how you can brand your project, understand the big picture, and communicate to everybody. And we end with a chapter on how to do effective lessons learned sessions. So the book reads from start to end, but it is not one story. It is 52 separate
52
short stories.
Separate stories, okay.
Which is why we tell people a project manager who's just starting out, he could read it from start to end. He or she, I need to be gender neutral. He or she could read it from start to end. For project managers who have some experience or who are very experienced, they go to Appendix A, which is on page...
In the back.
Yes. Appendix...
No page.
Okay.
It's no page number. It's in the back.
Yeah. Appendix A at the back of the book actually lists the 20
yes, I see.
top 20 failure factors. So if you're experienced, you read through this, you look at what your immediate pain points in project management are. And there are chapters connected with it. There are primary chapters where the chapters deal with this issue in detail. And there are supporting chapters which have some of the main goal, but also cover this. So for project managers who are starting out, they could read it from start to finish. For project managers who are fairly experienced, to get quick bang for the buck they paid for the book, look at your pain factors and read those chapters, and you'll have concrete, practical solutions on how you could solve those issues.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time, Karthik.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cornelius. Awesome connecting with you today.
Here we are, part 2 of the interview. Hello, Priya. Welcome.
Thank you, Cornelius. How are you doing?
I am doing very well. How is your conference going, Priya?
It's fantastic, fabulous, fun.
Yes, that is in fact the adjective that you chose. In the opening, I said we are coming to you live from the hectic and fantastic PMI Global Conference here 2018. Why did you choose Fantastic? What is fantastic about it?
See, the first thing is, this is my first global conference I am attending. So I am always a very energetic kind of person. And Karthik used to tell me, like, you are like an energy ball. And until I go to bed, that I somehow, make sure that the energy stays. And seeing so many people and, like, who have achieved so much, and seeing the speakers and the kind of sessions, and the PMI chapter leaders and, the board and lot of them are expert contributors to our book. And I have not seen them, but I have really connected with them through other social media, and seeing them in person really, like, I was so excited. And I in fact, you won't believe, I took one selfie with every one of them who contributed to our book, and because I wanted to, also add it to the social media connectivity there. So it is really exciting, and it is not only about our book and anything connected to it. It is also, seeing so many people coming from so many countries, and like it's really great.
Mm-hmm. Many of our listeners may have a book inside of them. They may be thinking, I have this great topic that I want to write about. What is your recommendation? You were very much involved, as Karthik has mentioned, in the back end, in the administrative side, finding all these contributors. What is your recommendation for them?
See, the thing is, in our case, it's a little different because, when Karthik and I were doing sessions for project management, like a PMP prep or other things, we have formed some tips, and those things were all there in our mind. So when we came up with the book, we just, took the tips and started, writing the stories and came up with a book. So, but if you are going to write a book, you need to first form things in your mind. It is not just writing and, like what you want to write. That's a different story altogether. But the thing is, you need to have that in mind, and Karthik always uses
concept.
The concept should be, you should conceptualize inside your brain and see how I am going to write, and these are the things I am going to write. So all that have to be, in your mind, and then you start really writing the book. And while writing the book, I would really suggest that you follow the real tricks and practices of project management, like earned value management. We really followed it.
Yes, let's talk about that, because that is something that I've never heard. You used earned value management in the development of this book?
Exactly.
On what scope areas?
And it is not very high-end tools or anything. We just had a whiteboard in our hall, in the place where we actually sat and wrote, our room, the place where the study room or whatever you call it. And we had the basic topics, like, for example, the stories, and we had if you see the book, we have cartoons.
Yes, there are cartoons inside of it. It's very funny.
So if you look at the parts of the book, one is the story, and the other is the expert contribution, and the other is the cartoon. So all three parts need to be completed. And the beauty is, when we started thinking about this book, the national conference was about to happen in our own city, which is Chennai in India. So we wanted to release this book because, it is one is as part of PMI, and we have been volunteering for PMI for the past 13 years now, from the time we finished our PMP. So Karthik and I have been volunteers, and we said that, we want to be there with the book when this national conference happens. So when we realized it was just 4 months, and you won't believe, within 4 months, we completed this book and had it ready for the conference. So it's a real kind of, we didn't have time to waste on anything. So we wanted to really use EVM. So all these three different topics we had it in the board, and we said how much we were supposed to complete it by that day and how much we have really completed. You won't believe, end of the day, my son will come from school and he will ask us questions. How much did you complete? No, the percentage didn't increase, Ma. What did you do today? Because we have to also, do our daytime jobs, and it is not just that, we were doing only this. So it was a real, what can I put? I don't have words to it. Those 4 months were like very hectic, and sometimes we didn't even sleep. Some days we just hardly slept, like for 3 to 4 hours. So it is very hard. It is very hard, but provided you have time, you can complete it and come up with flying colors.
Excellent. You selected 2 chapters of the book, Fun with Risks and Feed Me a Sandwich. Which one would you like to start with?
Fun with Risks.
Fun with Risks. Okay, so that is chapter number 30, Fun with Risks. What is that all about? Let me guess. Risk management. And what tips do you have for our listeners?
Yeah, this is just not about risk management. It is effective risk management, I would say. Because normally when you talk about risk identification session, right, that is where, you have the team over there and you find out what are all the various things that could go wrong in the project so that you can mitigate them, you could transfer them. You have all the various ways of, like managing the risk. So normally what happens is these risk management sessions are normally very boring. So actually, the kind of project situation I could say is, I just walked down to the pantry around 3 o'clock that day. I'm just, I could hear a couple of my team members, Anne and John. They were just talking about, you know what? Oh, another mail for a risk identification session. They are so boring, so long. I don't want to go there. And John was saying, I'm going to bunk the office. I don't want to go. And this is something disgusting. So all that thing was like negativity was happening and they didn't see me. So I know that they are talking about the meeting invite I sent just 5 minutes back when I was just going to the pantry for getting a coffee. Then I was just thinking, okay, I also felt the same when I was starting with my project management experience. And I also thought that is like boring and I don't really, I won't add any value to that session because it is sometimes, it is just the list the project manager creates and nothing, whatever I say will never go into that. So that kind of a situation. So I was just thinking and I just smiled and said, hey guys, you are going to have a pleasant surprise on it when you really come to that risk identification session. So normally what happens is the risk identification sessions, we go with colorful sticky notes, smiley balls, goodies like candies, and you have leaderboards. And I asked them to come up with technology risk, and people will be just going around writing the name of whatever they want to write as the risk for that particular project. I tell them, hey, just don't write 2 words or 3 words. Make it at least 8 words so that you're specific about the risk. So we write them and we stick it to the board and we just make it more fun and like very, very interactive kind of a session so that we'll just give goodies for people who give most number of risk or the most relevant, the most important risk. All those people will be are rewarded and awarded. And end of the day, I sent a mail as a project manager saying that, hey, this is the set of risk and these are the people who really contributed it. These 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll name them. So that, people know that whatever I done, I am really, rewarded. Or I added value to this particular session. So that way you make it fun, not a boring session, and everyone get benefited. Because if you have less people in the risk identification session, then they are not going to be effective and it is like done for the sake of doing it. So this will be effective, plus you are making that 3 to 4 hours of time which you are going to use very, very, very effective one, fun way.
Mm-hmm. And how do you ensure, you're putting a little bit of gamification in there, fun, enjoyment. How do you ensure that you still follow the process and that you get to the really important risks so that people, they don't just see, oh, this is a fun exercise and I'm enjoying myself, but they're forgetting to really think and to dig deep and to say, okay, what could really go wrong?
See, there we have 2 ways of doing it. First, we do something called pre-mortems, where we say that, I am taking this, when I do this, that will be the first thing I will do before this risk identification session. So there, what I do is, in the session we have, I'll just say that, okay, if you think 15 months down the line that the project has failed.
Spectacularly, right?
It has failed spectacularly. What do you think? What are all the reasons that this project could have failed? So I'll just ask them, because it is, in fact, when we did it once and people were asking, see, why do you want to talk about it when we are just going to begin? So we said, no, there is no auspicious or unauspicious things. It is just that, because if you think that way, it is a 30,000 feet level you are looking at the project, and that will give you a real ways of failing in the project, and that will give you the real risk. Because this risk identification session, like you mentioned, it could just go into the trivial risk.
Yeah.
But this way, you are getting all the high level risk, and then you can go into the high level risk and you can just
dig down into it. So instead of just sitting there and thinking forward what could go wrong,
yes,
you say, let's fast forward and look back and say, this has gone wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. So that was chapter 30, Fun with Risks. We are moving on to chapter 36, Feed Me a Sandwich?
Yes.
That's the title of it, Feed Me a Sandwich.
So there is nothing to do with the real sandwich, but it would be nice to have a sandwich now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is more of, how you need to do feedback, because normally what happens is, Karthik also mentioned when he was doing the interview with you, like many leaders in any corporate or any places you take, people don't understand that they need to praise in public, and if there is any problem, they need to, talk to you in private. And in fact, even in my experience with an IT company, I could say that, this guy who was my boss, he will just come and shout in the corridor. And it is like where my team is. See, the thing is, sometimes you may not understand what somebody has done, or it could be something I have done wrong. I'm not saying all the time I'll be right. But the thing is, that is not the way to talk to your colleague or your somebody, who's reporting to you. That's not the way. And I really felt it, because that guy has shouted, and I am kind of a straight person, and I just asked him, can you come over to the room? And I just said, see, this is not the way, because you are a leader, you should know, but you cannot do this in public, because it totally takes down my energy out. And if you are making me energy out for an energy full person, you can understand with others. So I told him this is not the way. And the thing is, I really felt that need that people need to know how to do it, though it has been taught as parents and everything. So the thing is, so feed me a sandwich. A sandwich, it has something inside and you have the bread in both sides. So likewise, when you do the feedback to somebody. So this is kind of a project situation we have mentioned in the book. And, somebody was feeling who was always energetic, maybe I could say like me. And he was like, not doing very well. So this particular project manager, Mike, came to me and said, Priya, I have a problem, because he was working with me. And he said, she was always a very energetic person, and she suddenly, gone to a different mode, and I really don't know what really happened. So I was just, talking to Mike and said, is there anything that, that happened to bring down his energy? Because I was just talking about, did there any role change or anything? So he was saying, no. So then Mike realized that in a status meeting, so he just shouted at her and said that, how can you do that? And, we have very little time, and this is not the way. So he was just really blasted here. So then I said, why don't you just Google about the real way of giving a feedback? So I said, sandwich technique is there. Why don't you just Google and find out? So then this guy told me later that, I went through it and it's just amazing. So the way we give actual feedback is, you have to first start with the positive things he has done, because it is all, and sometimes people used to argue with me saying that, how can you always, how do you say that, you have to start with positive and not go straight to what the problem is, and, it is like a roundabout way. But still, I feel that you shouldn't start and blast somebody, even though it is private. You have to tell them that you have been doing great. You have done something. Be specific. Don't just saying for the sake of saying. Just give them that, the specific things they have done in the past month or past week or something. Tell them the positive things they have done, and then add, and even the negative you have to talk about the improvement. You shouldn't say it's a negative thing. So while I was going through this, I found out that the documentation you have done, there were a lot of mistakes, and there were some translation errors. And I know that you are going through some family problem, and like your dad is down in the hospital, and you have to basically go from the hospital to the office and home, and I can understand that you have to go through this, and this is not the right time, and you are not able to take off because you have already taken off and have joined recently. But you just understand that you have to understand how important this documentation work is, because the client is looking for it in the next 1 month, and unless we complete it, our deadline is going to extend, and the stakeholders are not going to be happy. The customer is not going to be happy. So why don't you just work on, and just let me know whether you want to work from home. I'll be able to, help you with that, and, you can do it from home if that will avoid time, in shunting between multiple places.
You were giving more than just feedback. You were giving a solution to the problem as
because
well.
We need to, when we are talking about the problem, we need to find out the root cause, because just the band-aid solutions will not work. So we need to see where the problem is, and we have to, because actually, Mike realized that the problem is all coming because of his dad's hospitalization. So then, that is when he just came out with this kind of a solution. So that is how the feedback thing has to be done.
All right. And you mentioned the sandwich technique, and while you were talking, I whipped out my phone and actually searched for it. It does exist, the sandwich feedback technique. So if you have never heard of it, go ahead and Google it. You will find it. There are PDFs there and explanations and everything for you. Priya, in regards to the book, would you say it is more for the experienced project manager or for the beginning project manager?
Actually speaking, it is not necessarily people who are in the project management line. Actually, it is for everyone. If you can understand, except for 4 or 5 chapters in our book, it is all common. Because the feedback is common. Mm-hmm. You need not be a project manager to understand what is feedback. So it is very common to people, but to be specific to Project Management Society, it is for everyone. So it is for the people who are starting up in project management line, and also for leads who are going to become project managers, and also for experienced project managers who want to, improve themselves. So it is for everyone.
Excellent. A book for everyone.
Yep.
Again, it is called Say Yes to Project Success, Winning the Project Management Game. If you would like to get in touch with Kartik and Priya, then you can follow them on Twitter. Kartik is at KartikPMO and Priya is at PriyaPMO. And if you want to get in touch with them, visit projectsuccessbook.com. Thank you very much, Priya, for your time this morning.
Thank you very much, and you have a great day.